Welcome back to another episode of Thanks for the Consult. I'm Fior. We have with us Aaron today. And
Hello.
hello. And
You
today's
always give me
guest,
space to say hi at the beginning. We
and you
I
never
haven't
take
done
it.
one in a little while, and so then you just forget the way that we do things.
Anyways, today's guest, you
An
may
apology would be nice.
you may know her from TikTok as EMSBarbieee. But today we have Katie. Katie, how are you? We're doing good. So just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Hi. Well, I mean, my name's Katie. Obviously, on TikTok, I go by EMSBarbieee. That stems from my love for all things pink. But I'm 26 years old. I will be 27 in August. And I live in Arizona. Lived here my entire life. And right now, I'm currently a advanced EMT, hoping in the spring to start the paramedic program. That's a whole nother thing in itself, but hopefully in the spring. I've been doing EMS for almost 3 years now. Uh, Definitely feels a lot longer, but 3 years. And I right now work at a IFT and 911 service, so I kind of get the mix of both, which is absolutely amazing. I am the second oldest out of like six siblings. Yeah, mostly brothers,
Do you
but
like them all?
if they're watching this, yes, because I'm not. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but they do drive me insane sometimes.
If there were one that you had to pick that you didn't like, what letter would their name start with? And then what would be the ending sounds that went with the rest of their name?
Feel free to
You know,
ignore any of his questions.
yeah. Because look, listen, my birthday is in August. All right, I need them to know that I love them all
Mm,
equally, so that way they all show up for me. You know what
we
I mean?
could potentially put this on a delay for September.
I
All the way till after the birthday.
We'll have to
No, I
reevaluate
love
based off of how the
all my
birthday
siblings.
goes.
I mean, like, as the second oldest, obviously, I have younger siblings, and growing up, they, you know, were wild and drove me insane, but I would not trade it for anything in the world. But yeah, second oldest out of like six siblings. And actually, what's the date today? In a couple days, it'll be a year since I adopted my dog. So yeah, he's currently
It's
out there right now, mad that I kicked him out. But
Oh, that's okay.
I
It's
appreciate that you
been
said
almost 3
adopted
years
rather than
since
rescued because people will be like, "I rescued the dog," and then I'm like, "Did you? Or did you go down to some place
he,
and you
I
picked him
got
up?"
him at the shelter. Okay, I saw him. I fell in love with his, what do you like, the shelter name that they give him, and the
that
rest
was
is
just their
history.
name. So,
No,
It's a street
I
name,
don't.
it's just a
Yes.
street name.
Mhm.
which
Street name.
before we started, we decided that we were gonna try to come up with a street name for Katie. So
Yes. So by the end of this, we have to have one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, it's been almost 3 years now, I think, since I adopted Aaron. So, he's been
He's
much less fulfilling than a dog. So,
hmm
you
he
know.
never scratches my belly.
well. If my dog could talk, he probably would tell you that he's like so underloved and underfed, even though he's the most spoiled dog that I know.
What kind of pupper is he?
Um, he's a bull terrier Staffordshire. His name is Thor.
Nice.
That's an awesome
Yeah,
name for a dog.
We have
he's
a
the light of my life, and he's really nice to come home to after a crazy shift because he just brings
Yeah.
so much joy to the house.
Is he pink?
No, no.
I think
Yeah,
behind that,
you
my
know,
dog turns pink when he sees Aaron because he gets excited. So, yeah.
mine just turns into a little wild man who runs around and has the zoomies when he sees me. So,
I think that's common. I think that's just bully breeds do that. They just they lose their mind
and
briefly.
I think it doesn't like right now, like I said. So obviously, I work in EMS and I work 48 96 schedule.
Okay.
So I'm gone for 2 days. So when I come home, it's like he hasn't seen me in days,
Yeah.
but it
Do
makes
you
it
like
worth it.
that schedule? The
Um,
48 96? Aaron, that's 2 days on and then 96 hours off.
I was like, "Is he raising his hand to ask a question?" Yes,
Yes.
2 days on, and then I have 4 days off. I think originally it was a really big adjustment getting into that schedule. I started off on like a 3-4, so you work 24 hours, you're off for 24, you work 24, you're off 24, work 24, and then you're off for 4 days.
Yeah.
So I started on that schedule, and then I moved to a 48-96 like over a year ago. And then we switched set schedules again, and then we got back to this one. So it's kind of hard because we adjust our schedules so often that like once you get in a routine, we're switching
Yeah.
again. But it's not bad. I mean, I work the 2 days and then I'm home, and I don't have to worry about it for another 4 days. So it's not bad.
Yeah.
But we do have very long shifts and you're there for 2 days. So it can be tough.
Yeah, how absolutely
It probably
decimated are
helps.
you after a busy shift? That sounds awful.
There has been days where I come home and I go to bed and I wake up at like 5 at night or in the afternoon, whatever you want to call it, and I'm convinced I'm late for work. Like that's how exhausted I am. But
Yeah.
I mean, when we have the downtime, we're able to obviously try to rest and relax and everything like that. So I do try to take advantage of that, like any chance I can get. But yeah, no, there's been some shifts. I mean, yesterday was one of them. I came home and I was asleep till like 4 p.m. So
Do you find you
yeah,
don't know what to do
it's
with yourself during prolonged periods of time off? Because, like, I had a schedule where I would do 7 days on, 7 days off of 12-hour shifts, and during those 7 days off, I'd be, like, actually less productive than I would be if I just had, like, a spaced out schedule. Because 'cause I'm like, "Vacation, I'm ready for a break."
No, I definitely think this sometimes, and I think it's EMS. I think a lot of the people that like are in this career face the same thing of when we come home, it's like we were in, like fight or flight mode on our shift. Sometimes we have those calls and it's a crazy shift. And so you're kind of stuck in this like, fight or flight kind of thing. And then you come home and it's like you're able to take a breather and decompress and you're kind of just like, whoa, I don't know what to do with myself. There has been times like where I've gone on vacation and I come back and I have like an extended period of time off before I go back to work. And sometimes I find myself like being like, what do I do with my time? Like I don't know what to do with myself. Which is definitely I think something I have to work on because I you know what I mean, can't be stuck in that forever. Yeah, sometimes it's rough when I come home and I'm like, well, what do I do now?
So
Like
what I've found is I pick up a part-time job and then I was like, well, I still have too much time on my hands. So I get another part-time job. And I was like, man, I'm still bored. Let me start a company. So I did that. And then I'm like, well, let's start a podcast. Let's start. So,
so let's just fill up every hour that I have doing
yeah,
something.
it's nuts. It drives my family insane, honestly, because like I can't sit still. And I still do carve out like days when so my wife travels for work, right? But when she's, home, like we have time together.
Mhm.
And I go nuts because she's like, oh, I was running around all week for work. Like I just want to hang out. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I
I
don't
can
know.
never
Yeah.
sit still. That's like my downfall. I come home and I'm like, "Ah, I'm gonna relax." Next thing you know, I'm deep cleaning out a closet that you know what I mean? Like and cleaning the baseboards or
Yeah.
whatever, because I cannot sit still. And I think that a lot of people experience that same feeling. So when I come home, I feel like I have to be doing something. Otherwise, my day off is like wasted.
Yeah. Well, and
So
probably most people like that are enjoying EMS, they kind of view what we're doing as like adding value to society, what have you. And then you've added all this immense value to society for 48 hours. And that's like, now I'm doing nothing. I need to be adding value somewhere.
mhm.
And that's at least that's the way my brain works. But I am on the spectrum. So
I think it's crazy that all the
there's that.
schedules that people work are like most other like industries, it's like you work a schedule to mitigate like burnout and stuff like that. And then we take a group of people who are most like prone to burnout, like ADD, spectrum people, whatever term you want to use. And then
Neurodivergent.
is that the politically correct way?
That's just the
Okay, neurodivergent.
psychologically
Okay, neurodivergent. Good,
correct term.
good. Wait, throw me the oop. I got it. I caught it. Um, yeah. So, that we have that group of people, and it feels like the people who set it up were like, rather than try to figure out how to like fix that, why don't we just take advantage and just like full steam ahead?
Yeah, it can be tough. Like I said, there's been plenty of shifts where it's go 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 or, just rough in general. And it's I don't know, when I tell people the schedule that I work, they're like, "You work for 2 days?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "When so you don't sleep for 2 days?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I get sleep where I can and when I can." You know what I mean? But it's definitely, like a conversation starter when you tell people the shift that you work because, some people are working a 9 to 5, some people are working, 6 to 6 or whatever. Like everyone's schedules are always very, very different. And not just in EMS, but like in other jobs as well. And so, I have family that works a 6 to 5 and I'm over here working 48 hours and it's very weird. And people are like, how do you do it? Whole lot of caffeine. That's how
Yeah.
I do
How many
it.
IFTs do you guys run? Because you said you're emergency and IFT, and I just find it odd. Most of the times, the services that do those prolonged shifts are ones who are like, we are fire based or we are like emergency calls only, not like,
It really honestly depends on like the shift. There's been plenty of shifts where all we've done is IFTs. And then there's been plenty of shifts where we have a couple here and there. It ultimately obviously depends on the hospitals in our area and the patients that come in and what they need. But like I said, we have ran shifts where it's nothing but IFTs. I've come in and they're like, we ran 14 IFTs, 15 IFTs, like but normally we have at least 4 or 5 trucks that we split all of that between. Um, Obviously things happen and sometimes we're down trucks and things like that. But um we try obviously to spread it out as evenly as possible, but it can be tough. I mean, there's been plenty of times where we're doing IFTs back to back to back and we are being told, "Hey, like there's 7 more going out." And that's not including any of those 911 calls that we take in between all of that. So it's very like up and down. Sometimes we run a lot, sometimes we don't. But the hospitals in our area obviously send out the patients that need a higher level of care or they need, some specialized something. Um, so yeah, it really just depends. But there's been plenty of shifts where that's all we've done.
and are they like long distance transports or are they like shorter? Because like I've just on a 24 having to take somebody on a 2 hour IFT, like I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. I'm like, am
So
I going to wreck this ambulance?
Uh, yeah, it can be very, very rough. So from one of our hospitals, usually the transports range anywhere from an hour and a half to like 2 hours.
I'm
And
guessing
then
you're
from one of our
rural
other
then.
hospitals, it's about, anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour. Um, and it also really, really depends, obviously, where they're sending this patient. And then, like I said, one of our hospitals is a little bit further. So when they send out their transports, it's definitely a longer transport time. Um, and those ones could be really rough as well, only because I would make the drive there for work and then have to do the drive back and forth for IFTs and then drive it home. And I just felt like all I was doing is driving on that road. You know what I mean?
I moved for that reason.
It can be tough, but I will tell you, as tough as it can be sometimes, and obviously, when you have a transport time to the receiving hospital of 2 hours, it's a far drive. Um, I love the area that I work in, and I specifically picked that area as soon as I got out of EMT schools because of it. I think I've gotten used to the transport times at this point now. Like that's just how it is, and I don't mind. You know what I mean? It's actually a really good time to be able to get to know your patient and learn all about what's going on, and do your assessments and things like that. So sometimes it's actually really nice to be able to be with the patient for that long and be able to kind of be like, hey, so what's going on? Talk about their history or whatever it is that they're being sent out for. It's actually really nice because you do get to build kind of like a little relationship with them. You know what I mean? Rather than being 5 minutes away and like you're trying to squeeze everything in 5 minutes.
So I'm assuming you're more of a rural area.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
So
love that. I think it's
yeah.
absolutely amazing. Like the experience that I've got out there is,
Yeah.
yes, Aaron, speak for the class.
How do you feel about t-shirts with like the fire department style kind of like emblem as a uniform shirt?
Now I'm like thinking about my uniform right now. I'm like, so okay, when I originally first started, that's what I was wearing was a t-shirt with our logo and that was that. Uh, And I didn't mind, and the only issue is that like everything that they ever give to me is like 10 times too big for me. And that's the issue, like, nothing ever fits.
I
But
have the exact opposite problem.
it wasn't I will say they were nice. We recently, like, over the last, like, year or so, we switched to, like, a polo type shirt. And it's still, like, that cotton material, and it's got the polo. Um And I think I like that better because I think that obviously looks professional, but I feel like it is incredibly hot in the Arizona summertime in those shirts. And again, it's like 10 times too big for me, so it looks like I'm just ready to jump out of a plane and parachute with it.
A
So the
little
correct answer
background
was
on
T-shirt.
this. No, that's wrong. Your answer is correct. So the background, I've been doing this for this is my 24th year in EMS. So I started when everybody had the polyester button downs, the polyester pants. A lot of places were wearing ties. It was absurd. And then I've worked at places where you could wear the t-shirts. I work
Mhm.
now for a health system and they have us in polo shirts. And then we have like a pullover job shirt that we can
Mhm.
wear. Um, but Aaron is just adamantly against professionalism. If it if it at
Hold
all
that's
hold on, let
unfair.
me finish
That's
my
unfair.
sentence.
That's
If at
unfair.
all it hinders comfort.
That's
How do
not
we
true.
mute Aaron?
Yeah.
But that's not true. He's projecting what he feels about my opinion onto me, and that is
Okay,
not reflective of
let me
my
say
opinion.
one thing. I think in this career, we really do obviously have to be professional, right? What we do for a living, you really do have to be or like professional. And if you walk into a scene and like your outfit or your not outfit, your uniform is just a mess, you know what I
Or
mean?
looking more like an outfit.
It's like your pajamas. So having your shirt tucked in, wearing your belt. And I think it's really important to take pride in your uniform and how you arrive on scene and whatnot. Granted, like there was a time where we were wearing our class B shirts for a while, and again, 10 times too big for me. So tucking it into my pants still just made me look like I was like a little marshmallow walking around, you know?
I have yet to see
Um,
somebody make a Class B uniform shirt that is fitting for women. I've never seen a female in a Class B uniform shirt and been like, I think that shirt was made for women. It's normally
it
like,
literally
hmm,
I would
they
tuck
have
it
their
in and
brother's
it
shirt on.
it like rises up, my collar. So that one was really hard. And I will say there was one day where I did get a call in the middle of the night and I went to buckle that shirt and I buckled it completely wrong. And so like one side was like all the way up here and the other one was like down here. And it was like I arrived on the scene and I was like, oh my goodness, like this doesn't look right? But I think like I said, we switched to the polos and they look good. Um I recently had to get a new polo when I got my advanced EMT and they switched I guess like the type of shirt that it is and it is so incredibly hot. Like in the summertime, it's gonna be brutal. But yeah, probably. I mean, like I said, I think you taking pride in your uniform is a very important thing. And
What
I'm
if it's
not
a really
saying
nice
that
T-shirt?
it's a really nice T-shirt, like
Yeah.
like a bougie T-shirt. Like
Mhm. What if it's
I
pink?
mean,
Is it a
oh, if
bougie
it's pink,
t-shirt?
then yeah, hand it over, hand it over. No, like I said, I think, if you're taking pride in your uniform, a t-shirt can still look good, but you also, again, have to put in the effort to make your uniform look good. You know what I mean?
My biggest argument against t-shirts is, and Aaron, hear the whole sentence. There's
Well, we'll
several
mute
sentences.
Aaron really
Yeah.
quick while you talk so that way he can't talk.
So t-shirts start out tucked into matching pants and they look like a put together uniform for like a fire-based EMS service. Then the t-shirt doesn't get tucked in because it's not as comfortable and I never tuck my t-shirts in. And then my boots aren't zipped and my pants are inside of my boots. And then the job shirt becomes too uncomfortable so we have a hoodie. And then we don't want to wear boots, so we're wearing tennis shoes, hey dudes, Crocs, other nonsense that's not going to protect our feet. And then at the end, it's this devolving into a non uniform.
So adding 2 buttons completely eliminates all other, like uniform deviations?
I would just like to preface, I'm pretty sure mine
No.
has 3 buttons.
Yeah.
3 buttons and a collar. That
Yeah.
stops
3
any
buttons and a
No.
other
collar.
deviations from uniforms.
No, I think that
I think enforcing your uniform policy might actually do that.
well, that too, but
So
that
if you are wearing t-shirts and you are, you're tucking it in and you're making sure that you are taking pride in your uniform, they can look good and they can look like professional. But
Thank you.
it is,
That's all
like I
I'm
said, it's
saying. That's all I'm saying.
yes, but it's also incredibly hard though, like I said, with everything that does not fit me appropriately, I'm walking around and like you can tell the shirt is like 10 times too big. I've had so many friends that are like, Katie, why is your shirt so big? And I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like my polos I just got when I got received my AEMT, they are an extra small. They don't fit like an extra small, and it's still huge.
I
So
don't think
even when
I've
I
ever
do tuck it
worn an
in,
extra small.
I
So,
need like an extra, 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 extra small.
wow,
Like in
yeah,
the toddler section, you know what I mean?
not a whole
Um,
lot of EMS uniforms in that section of the store.
yeah. So I'm gonna, you know what? Maybe I'll just create my own like uniforms for everyone, and it'll be for the women because we all know those uniforms are not made for us.
They're not. It's yeah.
You can literally just take your name already, EMSBarbieee, and then just brand that into a clothing line.
I think the Mattel folks might have an issue with it, but not who
Listen, I'll
makes.
I'll reach out to Mattel and Barbie and everyone themselves and have a
Yeah,
sit down conversation. Be like, look, this is my plan. Are you
if
in, or are you in?
Is that
yeah,
common
I mean,
knowledge that that's who owns Barbie?
I could be wrong. I think that's who it is. I also have a daughter, so I may have more experience than the average bear with Barbie. I mean, look,
So
who
when you purchase a
owns?
Barbie, you're like, I need to know who owns this company.
Yeah, it's Mattel.
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, it's just you see the box, you see the. I don't know.
You're
This
getting a
is an
little
odd
defensive.
line of questioning.
You're getting defensive. I was just asking questions. It just seemed like a
Uh-huh.
bit of an obscure piece of information to have offhand.
Well, yeah, but I have a young daughter, so that makes way more sense. I think. Like if I was just like a single guy, bachelor my whole life, and knew that, it would be a little odd, and you should for sure question that. But you know,
You think
I
he
I,
doth protest too much?
I had a sister growing up. I have a daughter now. I don't know. I just feel
So
like
you've dealt with your fair share of Barbies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Aaron's just jealous because he doesn't own
Yes,
one.
I'm gonna see
You
Aaron
don't know
later
that.
today. I'll bring him a Barbie.
I'm
You
just
you
gonna
don't know
my
that.
bad, I assumed, my bad.
I'll bring him a Barbie poster to hang above his bed on the
There you
ceiling.
go.
So that's the last thing he sees before he goes to bed.
That's getting
It's gotta
weird.
be big and bright
Yeah.
pink.
At least it's either the Barbie poster or a picture of me, bud. What do you want?
It feels like a false dichotomy.
Because I'm not answering that question.
But right on. So you finished A class obviously, and now you're looking to go to medic class. So I have to ask, unless Arizona's different, why the stopover at A if you wanted to go to medic?
In Arizona, from what I gathered, I don't know like a lot of the details on it. We
Hmm.
used to have a EMT and then we got rid of them. I don't really know everything in between that. So when I was in EMT school, I had said, um, they basically had told me, hey, like it's EMT and then medic. And I was like, okay. And so that was my plan originally,
Hmm.
obviously, because that was really the options that I had. Um, but my company actually put together an AEMT program, and I think a lot of it stemmed from the fact that we did not have a lot of paramedics, right? We all know that in this career we are hurting for people, whether
Yeah.
it's EMTs or medics. And so I think they thought that like, hey, if we put on a class, like this is the perfect stepping stone for these people. I thought about it because again, it was not really in my plan. So I was like, do I want to do this? And at the end of it, I had decided, yeah, like I'm just gonna do it. I think that it was the perfect stepping stone for me to get kind of like my feet wet into
Hmm.
the ALS side of things without fully jumping in right away. Because I genuinely think at that time in my life, which it'll be, I think like, I'm trying to think, we started last year. I got it in September. Yeah. So around that time, I don't think I was fully ready to do the paramedic program. So once they announced, hey, you're putting on the AEMT program, I felt that it was like the best option for me because I didn't fully feel ready for the
Yeah.
paramedic program. I was very intimidated. I was scared, and so doing the A program actually really kind of it helped me. It helped me see things um from a different perspective. We went over a lot of the stuff that we learned in EMT school, but we would dive deeper into it. And um I think, like I said, I think it was the perfect stepping stone for me to kind of see what it is that I'm going to continue on to learn and what I'm going to be doing. And yeah, so I think, like I said, I think it was just the perfect little stepping stone for me to kind of see what it is that, like, the ALS lifestyle is,
Yeah.
and what that will look like for me without fully diving in. And it allowed me to like ask myself if I was fully ready to go to paramedic school and go from there. So I got that back in, I want to say it was September. So it'll
Okay.
be a year in September of this year. And in just that time frame, I feel I've been able to learn a lot. I've been able to look at things very, very differently,
Hmm.
um, in a good way. You know what I mean? Like my critical thinking skills, like, and all of that. I think it was just me not feeling fully ready to dive right into the paramedic program. And that stepping stone that wasn't originally going to be there was, you know what I mean? So I put in the application through my company, and they picked a few people to give a scholarship to
Oh,
go through
nice.
the program. And so I was one of them. I think there was about like 9 or 10 others that were in there as well. And yeah, so I think I just really wanted to see if I would be ready to go to paramedic school, or you know
Fair
what I mean?
enough.
But I love it. I'm very,
Yeah.
very, very grateful for it.
So that's an interesting perspective that I usually don't see. So I teach a paramedic program, so we get some people that are currently A's in there, and then what I do for a full time job is on a response truck. So we intercept a lot of ILS crews, BLS crews, things like that, and most of them have. And again, there's some really awesome ones out there, but most of them have the mentality of like, well, this seems like it'll be quicker, and then they get kind of stuck there. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then those are also the ones that are like real anti having a paramedic show up because then they're not the highest certified on scene, if that makes sense. I don't know. I
Or
like
sometimes
your
I'd be
perspective.
I'd be telling myself I need an adultier adult. Okay, I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody come help me.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do. And I oftentimes am like, huh, is there somebody else maybe more qualified to help this crew? Because I don't know what I'm
Dude, it
doing. I'm just
sucks
out
when
here
there isn't
doing
an adult
things.
to your adult. That happens to me all the time.
And then you realize you're the adult, and you're like, oh,
Dude, somebody thought it
oh.
was a good idea to make me the manager. And so, like, I don't have an adult to your adult to call, right? That's the face I made when they offered it.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure?
By manager, you're probably more familiar with the term chief. They made him the service chief
She's
on a
even more
on a
skeptical.
on a Wednesday. They were just like,
On a
"Hey,"
Wednesday.
they were like, you're the
It
chief."
was, in fact,
I will
Wednesday,
say
actually.
my biggest thing again is I wanted to. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and can judge me all you want for this, but
That's good because
prior
we love
to
judging.
prior
So,
to joining EMS, I obviously had no family members that were in the career, so I didn't really have anybody to ask, like, "Hey, what does this career entail?"
yeah,
Um, but it was kind of like me kind of going in, I guess, blindly of like, "Hey, I don't know. I kind of know. I kind of don't know." But I went into the program, and before I actually did, my goal was like EMT and then paramedic, right? And then once I got into EMT school, I realized I was like, no, I will be working as an EMT and getting that experience and everything, right? Again, I didn't have people that worked in this career to tell me, like, hey, it is a lot of information. It is, you know what I mean? And so once I was in the program, I genuinely was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do what I need to do, but I'm going to take it step by step when I'm ready. And then my first day on the truck was my first day in general, my first patient encounters. I didn't have clinicals during EMT school. So I was very overwhelmed, right? Like, I I did
Please
really
tell
good
me
in
they at
EMT
least made
school.
you ride third person on your first day.
Yes, they did
Okay,
actually.
thank
Yes.
God.
Um, I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, yeah. No, they did. And I will say I got very, very lucky with the people that precepted me when I was new. I heard horror stories about bad preceptors and I was so scared because I was like, I don't want to be put in that position. But I got very, very lucky with the people that helped me and I'm still close with them to this day. And they're the people I call when I have that one call, that one patient that I'm like, hey, did I do everything that I was supposed to do? Like, would you have done anything differently? You know, because these are people that have been in the career for years.
Well,
Um,
I've got a piece of information for you. That never goes away. You're still going to get those patients. You're like, I feel like I'm missing something.
oh yeah, and
Like,
like I said, I'm
what did
very
I do
grateful
wrong?
for the people that I can call at any time and be like,
Yeah,
hey, like help me out here, you know. But I like I said, I didn't have any clinical time, nothing like that.
yeah,
My first day on the job was like, holy crap. It was very overwhelming. I literally was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Um, and it was kind of like, okay, I I don't know why I thought that going from EMT to paramedic was going to be the right thing for me because obviously beforehand I didn't really know anything, so that was my goal. But once I was able to like realize what the job entailed and everything like that, I was like, no, it is good that I didn't decide to just go bam bam, you know.
yeah,
Um, so then they offered the A program, and I was like, I wasn't going to have this opportunity before because we didn't have them. I'm going to do it. And I will say, I truly think it was one of the best things that I did. Now, a lot of people on TikTok had a lot to say about it. They were like, what the heck? Why would you do that? Like, it's just a waste of time. But I don't think for myself it was a waste of time. I
yeah,
think it truly helped me and it made me realize too that I am ready for the paramedic program and that I can do it, you know? But I also had to like remind myself that like everyone's journey is very, very different. So you have people that go from being an EMT to a medic very quickly. You have people that go from EMT, AEMT to medic. Like everyone's journey, I think, in this career is very, very different. And ultimately, it comes down to what's going to be best for you. Um, I didn't want to put myself in a position to I guess not be, like a strong provider, you know what I mean? I wanted to take my time, um, learn what I could learn, use my skills, use my knowledge, my critical thinking, all of that, and be the best that I could be before moving
yeah.
on, which I got the opportunity and it's been amazing.
No, I don't think that's a bad, the way you laid it out from like an educating standpoint. It sounds like you have a plan and you doing what's best for you.
Mhm.
The people that are in my era and older, we don't understand the whole AEMT program because it was never a thing. There was
Right.
EMT, then there was paramedic, and that like when I got my EMT, I wasn't allowed to check a blood sugar. Pulse oxes were optional. There was no meds that we could give. Like it was like, so if you want to do anything but drive and use a long backboard, you had to go to medic class. Oxygen, we were allowed to give oxygen. And it was always 15 liters, non rebreather. Didn't matter. You stubbed your toe. Have some oxygen about it.
Here's
Like,
15
yeah,
liters. I will say becoming an A has come with a lot of like pushback from people and obviously everyone has their thoughts and their beliefs and I get it and I respect it, but I also this is my journey, not yours. Um and like I said, there's been a lot of people that are like, what is an AEMT? And what is it that you guys can do that's different? And now there were a few things that changed from me being basic EMT to advanced EMT. But there has been a lot of people that I know, whether that's on social media or in real life, that truly like do not believe in AEMTs. And that's their belief to have and their thoughts to have. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
that's silly because they do
I,
exist.
yeah. I've
I've
seen
I've
them.
I've met them before, yeah.
yeah, but like I said, it's not their journey, it's mine.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you know what, you don't have to believe in it, but it is what
I,
I'm doing and I'm grateful. But there are also a lot of people that look at you and they're like, you're considered like an advanced EMT, which is now ALS, but they love to remind you that you're not ALS, but you are ALS, but you're not. And I'm like, So it's a really weird
Yeah, they never should
gap
have
in
renamed
between.
it.
You what?
See, they never should have renamed it. When it came out, when they started it, there was EMTB or basic,
Mhm,
EMTI intermediate, which was the advanced EMT, and then EMT paramedic, which is now just paramedic.
mhm.
So it was like a linear kind of thing
They
that
must have
kind of
good
made
lobbyists.
sense.
They must have
And
really good
then
lobbyists who are like, "Let's make it advanced," because advanced sounds cooler than intermediate.
but when they did that, they made it just really convoluted. And the biggest problem with it is that it just like everything in our field, it comes down to billing. Your state and my state may recognize it differently. So Pennsylvania recognizes an AMT as far as billing is concerned at an ALS level 2. Uh, Whereas a lot of states recognize it as a BLS level for billing. So then it's this really, so if you literally go 60 miles and cross the state line, now it's recognized differently. Plus it's so like wildly different. Like I guess some states A's can intubate now. Some states A's can give a lot more medications. It's like we have this national registry and there's no consistency.
I think, like I said, a lot of people, they'll look at me and they'll be like, "You're ALS, but you're not ALS, but you are." And it's like this, like I said, it's a really weird,
Yeah.
spot that I'm in because it's like I'm considered ALS, but I'm not like full ALS. It's hard, like we literally, a lot of other A's that I know, like we call ourselves like the redheaded stepchildren of EMS, right? That's just how it is. But like I said, I was able to do, like as an EMT before I got my A, I was able to, give certain medications. I hear a lot of times people, because I've learned like kind of like how everyone else does it in the world too, and everywhere is very, very different as to like what an EMT can do and what they can't do. So I was able to do IVs. I was able to give fluids.
As a basic.
Mhm.
Wow, yeah,
um, yeah.
that's not even
So
on the
really,
radar in Pennsylvania.
when I got my A, there were a few things that changed, and it wasn't a lot, but there were
Yeah.
still a few things. Like now I can give, D10, D50, glucagon, nitro, um, morphine.
They let you give narcotics. That's
But
wild.
yeah, and then I can IO people
Not that you're
now,
allowed, it's wild that, like, there's that big of a different
which is
like
crazy because again,
yeah,
I've talked to a lot of people that are A's in different places, and like I can give morphine, but I can't give Zofran.
yeah, that
But they
makes no
can give
sense.
Zofran, but they can't give morphine. Like it is
Yeah.
very different. Or for example, like I can IO people now. Um, and I can, administer lidocaine if need be, but, like, it's
For
very
the
different
IO or for the
for conscious
antidysrhythmic?
IOs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it's crazy. So, whenever they oddly enough, so the intermediate EMT intermediate program was developed in Pittsburgh, where
Mhm.
I'm from, and we were the last state to adopt it as like an actual certification, which is wild. But like when it was finally adopted as the advanced EMT, like everybody just called it like EMT IV because they could start an IV and they could give normal saline or a dextrose solution,
Mhm.
and that was really it. And then they eventually, I think they're also able to give 1 to 10,000 um, in a cardiac arrest situation. And then I'm going to say IO. I'm not certain if they could do the IOs or not.
Yeah, that was one of, like, the newer
But
skills
yeah,
that we added. That was very intimidating.
yeah,
"You want me to do what?" Um, and then we also added again, I could do IVs as a basic and give
yeah.
fluids. Um, but when I got my A, I'm now able to do EJs on patients, which is very intimidating too. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a
very
real good
intimidating.
feeling walking into the hospital with that EJ because like nurses don't see that very often. So they're always like, whoa,
I witnessed a flight
what's
nurse do
happening
it the
there?
other day. I was so impressed. We flew out a patient and I witnessed her do this EJ and I was so impressed by it, but also again because being an A is still obviously somewhat new to me, right? So I have not IO'd anyone yet and I have not done an EJ yet.
I know somebody that'll let you IO them.
Both of those skills intimidate me because I haven't done them yet, and so it's kind of like I have like a fear, I'm scared, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was able to add those, and but like as an EMT, I was already able to do IVs, CPAP, do end tidal, like all of those things. Not a whole lot changed.
Wait, you guys do end title too? What is happening?
The world is evolving, okay?
Wow, there's just a massive difference between Pennsylvania and Arizona. It's
That's one of the things I
night and
learned
day.
is the differences between all the states is crazy to me. And
Yeah,
it's so interesting for me to hear what other people can do or what they can't do and like vice versa, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I One of my best friends is actually an AEMT as well. And so where she lives, she tells me the things that she can do, and she's got a lengthy list of what she's able to do, and then I tell her mine, and like we'll compare, and it's very there's differences, and it's wild to me.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's very
Okay.
very different.
I like how they were
Yeah,
like,
that
"We need to standardize testing." So that way every
let's
state is on the same page,
yeah.
and the states were like, "You know what? We're gonna adopt that." And then they were like, "But you know what else? We're gonna make our
More
own rules."
Like I said, my best friend, she can give patients Zofran, and I'm like, I can't
So
do that.
in
Morphine, but
Pennsylvania,
not
they can give
Zofran is the
Zofran
craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire
because morphine makes people nauseous a lot, which is why
and
like
not
Pennsylvania
breathe.
well, that too, but the
She said, "Don't forget the not breathing part."
that's easy to fix. Just a little naloxone, you're good to go. You
Well,
know?
just if you're gonna restrict something based on what you think the potential for, like, a poor outcome could be, like, the
Yeah.
one that makes you not breathe might be higher on the list than the one that has, like, a very niche circumstance of prolonged QT intervals.
And I have a feeling that's the logic they used was like, oh, well, because you're not monitoring cardiac rhythms, correct?
No.
That's they're like, well, it could morphine's never caused a prolonged QT interval or any cardiac issues, but Zofran has once when given in massive boluses that it never should have been
I went
administered
into
in
the
that high
trauma
of a
bay the one
dose.
day, and I had given, like, 4 milligrams of Zofran to somebody, and they were gonna give him more Zofran, and the ER doc, I believe, gave an order for it, and then she didn't realize that I'd already given 4, she gave an order for 8, so then the nurse was trying to clarify and was like, "Well, do you want me to give 8 or do you want it to be a total of 8?" And, like, they were going back and forth about that, and then the trauma doc was sitting there, he's like, "Dude, the surgical dose is, like, 40, just give it to her." Like,
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
it's
it's really strange, like, what I can't do and what I can do, but
yeah,
it's been nice to kind of, like I said, dip my toes into that, like, ALS,
yeah,
like, lifestyle, and I am very grateful. So I am hoping that we do the paramedic program in the spring,
yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
So your AEMT experience legitimately is starting to prepare you for paramedic class. Whereas I will say in Pennsylvania, it does not prepare you in any way, shape, or form because the you're just not doing you're literally doing EMT stuff plus IVs plus you can do a supraglottic and like mostly naturally occurring things in the body. So dextrose, um, adrenaline, but only in cardiac arrest.
and
I don't even believe they
anaphylaxis.
can. Yeah, and anaphylaxis, they give them that.
See, I could do the supraglottics as an EMT basic
Yeah,
too, and so,
yeah,
like I said, not a whole lot changed, but
yeah,
things did change, and I think, the things that I did or that did change have been beneficial to help me kind of understand a little bit more,
yeah,
um, and, like, help me prepare a little bit, you know what I mean? And I obviously am still nervous, I think anybody would be nervous, but I
yeah.
feel a lot more prepared than I did originally, so that's why I think I'm very grateful that I did the little stepping stone in between,
What if there's a
which
lot
again,
fewer
everyone's
AMTs in Arizona? Just because, like, in Pennsylvania, the way that they sell it is like, here's like a pretty middle step between EMT and paramedic. Because EMTs, they're not doing IVs, they're not doing advanced airways. Like, and then you say, okay, well, you could start doing that stuff, and it gives like an EMT, like, as they advance to AMT, like, I can do some of the more critical things to buy time till the highest level provider that needs to be there can do the rest of the stuff. Whereas it sounds like for
Mhm.
you guys, the EMT can already do all those things. So is
Yeah.
it like a hard pitch for people in Arizona to get them to do the advanced EMT class?
Well, but they're letting them do so much more as advanced than they're able to do in Pennsylvania. So
I think, just
sorry.
Think
if it were me, I would have, like, if I were already doing IVs and, like, doing things like that, I'd be like, "I'm just gonna go to medic school." Not that, like, other people should do that, but I'd just be like, "Oh, I'm already doing the stuff," you know?
He also went to medic school because somebody told him he wouldn't make it, and that's the only reason he went.
That is true.
So, maybe don't use him as your barometer for good
That is true.
right.
motivators.
Well, so I think so originally when the program was being talked about and they brought it up to us, we were told, hey, like you'll be able to IO, you'll be able to, they even talked about innovation, but we aren't able to do that as an A. Um, so they talked about all these things. Hey, you're able to give more medications. And I wouldn't necessarily say it was like this like crazy pitch of like, this is all the things you'll get to do. But they did inform us of like, hey, this is what it is. And initially it was called the AEMT program, but they changed the name to P1, P2, and P3. So I completed P1, received my A, and then in the spring I'm supposed to start P2 and P3, which is going to be the remaining of like the classroom time. Um, and then P3 is my clinicals and ride time. At the end of all of that, I would have my medic. So I think not only was I able to do that little stepping stone to kind of help me see if I was ready and everything, um, we had the plan to do the paramedic program. So I think I kind of looked at it like I'm doing a stepping stone, but the end goal is
Yeah.
the medic program. You know what I mean?
EMT class sounds so
EMT
much more
class.
intimidating than, like,
Yeah.
it would be here. Like, if you're doing all that at EMT, I'd be like, "I don't know if I wanna do that."
Ah. Well, I laugh at this because this is how it used to be. And everybody's, no, we need to get away with that. We need to go to clearly defined. You used to do your EMT. Because there used to be EMT, then paramedic one, paramedic two. Like then you had like your EMT mask trousers, if you've heard of those. So there's like your EMT mask, and then you could get your EMT IV if you wanted to work in a hospital and start IVs. And everybody's like, no, just make everything clearly defined. One certification does everything from here up. The next one does everything from here up. And now they're going back to, P1, P2, P3. And it's crazy. The world is cyclical, but
That's one
ah,
thing I've learned about this field is like how much it is always changing.
yeah,
And I think that's why I love it is that I feel like we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always, you know what I mean? And it's
yeah,
that that is what I need. I like the constant learning, the constant, evolving, those kinds of things. But it's definitely crazy because, like I said, the A program was not a thing when I was in EMT school. I had thought it was, and then they were like, no, here in Arizona, it's literally EMT paramedic. So I think that maybe that was another reason why I was so
yeah.
excited to do it was it wasn't
It was
there
new.
for me
Yeah.
originally. And now that it was, I was like, hey, like, this could be good for me.
That explains why the
Um,
EMT scope is much more aggressive too.
yeah. Well, also, I will tell you, I think a lot of my EMT scope is the way that it is also because of where I work. So like the end title, CPAP, all of that, those are all what we call STRs, and we have to do the special training to get them. So if we don't have the STR, we cannot do that skill. So like let's say I started and they were like, she hasn't done her epi STR. I cannot administer epi until I do that STR. And
Okay.
so now as an A, that stuff that's kind of already like in my scope. But as an EMT, these were like all STRs that we had to get when we started. And then
What does STR stand for?
Special training
Where's the R?
per painting after the T.
phase. So we would redo those like every year. You do them yearly. You go through like the education part and then like the hands on, and then you take a test. You know what I mean? But where I work, it is very rural and we don't always have an ALS crew. So a lot of the stuff that we were able to do is also, that way because we don't always have ALS and we need to do what we have to do and stuff. So it's definitely different because I talk to people that live or work in like the city that I live in, and their scope's a little bit different. But I work like an hour away from where I live, and it's just crazy like hearing the differences between it. Again, I also do 911 and IFTs. So I've talked to other people about that, and like they're like, "Oh yeah, I run more IFTs." It's very weird. It's very weird how the hour in distance can change what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I spent most of my career in like a very urban environment. Like if my former director would hear me call it the ghetto, she'd lose her mind. But you know, shooting, stabbings, overdoses, like normal stuff. Yeah. So real close to the hospital, things like that. And now, I where I work now is very rural. Like I went from 5 minute transport times to the closest hospitals 35, 40 minutes. Yeah, never flew a patient before I started out there. Now, that's something that happens frequently.
Yeah. We utilize helicopters a lot out where I work.
Yeah.
So we're really close with the flight crews.
Ah, but yeah, it's crazy the amount of stuff though that like there's stuff that I've had available in my scope for a long time that I've never used because it's just we're already at the hospital by the time I get to that point where now I'm running like the full protocol sheet on
Mhm.
on a patient because I've got plenty of time you know to do it. It's crazy. Um you know but the difference between the just driving an hour and a half 2 hours gets even crazier.
Yeah. Like I said, where I work, very rural. So our transport time could be 5 minutes, or it could be 30 minutes, or it could be 45 an hour to us, you know what I mean? And you just never really
Yeah.
know. We cover over 3,000 square miles of area.
Sheesh.
So it's our transport times are very different for everything.
Yeah.
Um, But I enjoy where I work and I love the area because of what I get to do as a provider, and the experience that I've got in the last like 3 years is um insane. And I'm grateful for it because I genuinely think it has set me up to be the best provider that I can be, and to use like my critical thinking skills, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's been plenty of times where we're 45 minutes away from a hospital and we're having to be like, okay, like, what do we do? Like, critically think this, and I'm grateful for that. Um, but again, I don't think I would have the same experience if I worked closer to where I live. So that's why I make the drive every shift, because I'm lucky of like
Yeah.
what I get to do out there.
I get asked that a lot. So the system I work for, we have a truck that is literally 5 minutes from my house, and I will pick up overtime there. And it's great because I pick up the truck, go hang out at my house if it's on an overnight because it's literally in my service area and it's just a squad. I'm not taking a partner home. That'd be weird. But
Stay the night with me.
yeah, they, but but then the base I work at primarily is an hour and 10 minutes from my house, but I get to do so much more actual treatment. So
Mm,
I definitely get it. Definitely get it. The
yeah,
drive being worth it for
I really enjoy it, and, I'm hoping everything goes well and we still get to do the paramedic program in spring, because I'm ready for it. Obviously, I'm nervous, I think anybody would be,
sure.
but I yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Well, before we kind of wrap up for today, firstly, thank you for joining us. Been absolutely awesome. But another question, hold on, Aaron. Do you have any advice for anybody that's kind of thinking about getting into this field, this journey, this crazy lifestyle, whatever you want to call it?
Like I said from the very beginning, I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. And like looking back almost 3 years ago to now, I've learned a lot of like what this career is and what it entails, and I love it. I'm very, very grateful. I constantly try to work every single day to be better, and, continue to learn. One of the biggest things um I guess it's one of my things that I'm very, I guess, passionate about, is that never stop learning. Don't think that you know everything, because at the end of the day, we don't. I mean, medical is constantly changing. What could be going on today is changing tomorrow, and you have to be open to that. And I know that people who have been in this field for a very long time aren't always open to the change because they've done it a certain way for so long. Um, but definitely continue to learn because you always have something to learn. The other thing I definitely probably would say that it is a crazy lifestyle. It my sleep schedule, I don't know what that is anymore, but having an like a community with you is definitely essential. Having people that are there for you when you need it or that understand, is absolutely amazing. A lot of my friends work in the field, so we genuinely understand what a person goes to on or goes through on a daily basis, and it's amazing. When I come home and I am dead to the world for like 12 hours, my friends understand that it's probably because I'm tired. But having a community to turn to is absolutely, I learned, essential. It helps me. I mean, just yesterday I was talking to my best friend. We had a rough call yesterday morning that I don't know why it bothered me, but it did. And I told myself like, "Hey, I've been on many of these types of calls, but something
Yeah.
about this one just it was really rough for me." I came home, I was not feeling it. And even this morning I was talking to someone about it and it still bothers me. But having a community that understands and is there and that sometimes they're not giving you advice, they're just an ear to listen is s- so vital. But yeah, having your community, you need that. And then don't let anyone, I guess, in a sense, like break you down. I have experienced a lot of situations that have made me contemplate my career and contemplate wanting to leave. But I had to tell myself, like, I love what I do. And I did not want to give anybody that power to take that away from me, as hard as it is. I mean, we know that we've heard all about it in this field, the bullying and all of that it's a real thing. And I don't want anyone to be discouraged by it because I was for so long and I almost left. I almost quit and just said, you know what? That's that.
I've never met somebody that has been actively trying to break someone down that was like had their shit together. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. They're
It's been
probably a piece of garbage.
it's been a journey. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a point in my like career that I literally would sit in my room for the 48-hour shift that I was on, and I would come out for my calls and to do what I needed to do, but I would stay in my room and I spent a lot of time in tears and telling myself like, I'm not worth it. I'm not smart enough to be here. I'm not capable. I'm just going to quit and go back to what I was doing before this, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I talk a lot about with like my EMS community on TikTok is that, there are people out there that are like that and that treat people that way. You know what I mean? Like you are worthy of being here. You deserve to be here. You work to be here. And like I love what I do and I'm passionate about it. And I don't want to give anybody that power to take that from me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome advice, honestly. It's uh, as I guess the um token member from the old guard, if you will, on this episode. Um, well, most episodes that we do, like, there's been a whole lot of like, I guess, stigma and like about anything that has to do with anything that isn't macho or heroics or whatever. So when people have emotional reaction to calls, it's like, toughen it out or whatever. Toughen it up, I guess would be the correct words. But and that certainly has changed a lot in the last several years, which is good. There's still ways to go with that, but yeah, I think that a lot of it though comes from a place of insecurities and jealousies of their own. A lot of the people that, looking back in my career, that have been kind of always there to try to catch you messing up or cut you down any way possible. Like, I look at where they're at. They're getting fired from ambulance service after ambulance service, working for the lowest wages in the crappiest areas and it's just like nobody will hire them anymore. They have a stigma about them, and as I'm sure you know, EMS is a pretty small community. You know
I've
who
learned that
everybody
very
is.
quickly.
Yeah.
Everyone knows somebody who knows somebody else.
Yeah. And then especially now with like the social media and all the TikTok and all this stuff where it's just like you can be interconnected like other than through TikTok and we met Andrea who introduced us to you. Like she's in Vegas, you're in Arizona. Like I'm confident that we never would have met otherwise. But
It's crazy.
yeah, but it makes this community even smaller, I guess.
Yes, and,
But
like,
yeah.
you talk about Andrea, and I love her. That is she is an
Yeah.
angel, okay? And it's
Oh yeah.
crazy because I started posting my journey on TikTok around like, when I was in EMT school. Um, Never thought that it would get to where it is today.
Yeah.
Um, I'm grateful for it. I'm so blessed and I enjoy it, and the things that I've been able to experience, learn. Like these are a lot of providers that have been doing it longer than me, whether it's, a couple years or, several years. These are people that
It's okay. You can just call me old. Aaron does all the time.
there's people that I can look up to and that I can go to and be like, "Hey, like, you know, um, but it's like my community, the way that
Yeah.
we have each other's backs and the way that we support one another. I've met some of my absolute best friends through social media, which is crazy because growing
Yeah.
up, they tell you not to talk to strangers on the internet, but that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
That's how you get kidnapped, is at least what I was told. Yeah.
Listen, that's how I've met some of my best friends. I'm not mad, okay? And when my mom asks if my mom watches this at any point, no, I did not meet them on the internet, okay?
Met through somebody else
Yeah, I met
that
him through somebody else who met him through somebody else. You know what I mean? Whatever.
on the internet.
And when we talk about the the bullying and everything that
Yeah.
happens, I'm very sensitive, but I also feel like I can be very tough. I mean, I feel like I've gone through a lot in my life that was meant to break me and to tear me down and everything. And I'm still here. I lost my dad when I was 10. And so that was a huge life altering thing. And my life is obviously very different almost 16 years later. I look at it like that though, is that I went through that. I've gone through some of the toughest times of my life and I just persevered through it and I came out even stronger. And so when all of this stuff was happening, I mean, it still does, but I had to remind myself, like, I've already been through so much in life, like, I can't give up, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And this career needs people that love what they're doing, and they're
Yeah.
passionate about it, and so I towards the end, just told myself, like, I'm not ready to give that up, you know what I mean? That's why I have TikTok too, is we talk about these things that happen in EMS and we bring awareness to it and we want to try to make changes. No matter how long it takes, we want to try to make changes where there needs to be.
Yeah. It's doable. It's just gonna take people kind of putting in the effort to make the change. But what I will one thing I wanted to say about the community and the bullying, like there's this one guy that I used to work with that everybody like they just nobody liked him. He was extremely annoying, kind of creepy. But if the crew was at a hospital and another agency was like making fun of that guy, they would literally fight them in the parking lot if it came to that over this guy that they were literally 3 seconds ago just bullying the shit out of. And I'm like, that's wild. But it's like, yeah, he's a dork, but he's our dork kind of thing.
If that's our person, like, hey,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. We
my
could say
family. Don't
that.
be
You
talking
can't
about
say
them.
that. So, Aaron, I apologize. You had your hand up a while ago.
It's
Uh,
okay, I was waiting patiently.
you were.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
I
Aaron.
have I have 2 things.
Okay.
So I was pondering on your street name as, we said at the beginning of the episode that we needed to come up with, and so I did have a couple proposals. Um, you had said about how most of your career, you've had shirts that were far too big, and that you needed a smaller size shirt, so I thought Lil would be a good thing to have at the front, as well as you do like pink, so I thought Lil P might be kinda fun. I heard you say that you feel like the redheaded, stepchild, so Lil Red could also be fun, just kinda tossing those ideas out there.
Aaron heard any of our conversation at all this entire podcast, or was he contemplating street names the entire time?
Yes to both.
Fair. Fair. Okay, I will need
I
those in
also
writing so I can remember them, and then we will
Yeah.
pick which one's the best.
We could
okay.
have a vote of some sort.
There you go.
I have a follow-up unrelated question. I have a theory that people who sit crisscross applesauce have great posture, and I noticed that you have good posture. I was curious if you're sitting crisscross applesauce.
I was at the start of this. Um, Now not so much. I literally have my kitchen chair in front of me, and I'm sitting on what is my vanity chair, I guess, up against a wall. So yeah.
I have a question. What is a vanity chair?
It's like for makeup and stuff.
So it's just a chair, right?
No, it's a vanity chair.
Oh, okay. I feel like I live in a house with 2 women. I should know what this is. Our I don't have anything that looks like that in my house. Looks like a doctor's stool minus the
It doesn't
wheels.
roll.
It doesn't
Yeah.
roll.
Well,
You need to be able to spin around but stay put.
Yeah.
huh.
Well, I have
Like, come on,
carpet in
Fior.
my room, so I guess I really wouldn't be rolling anywhere anyways, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
no to the
was yeah.
crisscross applesauce. I was earlier. I'm just pushed up against a wall now.
Interesting. I don't sit crisscross applesauce and I have horrible posture.
Theory remains true.
Yeah,
I have
I like it.
horrible posture while I'm driving because I'm not sitting crisscross applesauce. And I catch myself and I'm like, why am I sitting like this? Like this is me driving.
Like a
And I'm like,
90-year-old
Katie, straighten out.
on your way to on your 90-year-old on your way to Eaton Park after church or whatever greasy spoon you have locally in Arizona.
Fior, I think you should tell her the story about how you called me the other week and what you called me for a request of information that I was immediately prepared to provide because I think it really does just kind of epitomize
Okay.
how just like I wasn't sitting here just trying to formulate this. I was engaged, but I'm just ready with random
S
things at any point in
so
time.
the other week, the program director for the college was asking, she's like, grabbed me. She's like, hey, come here real quick. I'm like, what's up? She said, I need to respond to this email and I need like something quippy at the end. And I think that like, it was like, see you later, alligator was like what it was. She's like, I need something kind of like that, but different. I was like, hold on, I got a guy. So I called Aaron, put him on speakerphone and was like, listen, here's what we need. He came up with no fewer than 4 just immediately. Like,
Gotta go, hippo. Bye bye, platypi. Have a laugh, giraffe.
yeah,
Um,
it just,
I like
it,
to have a, what does it have
it,
a laugh giraffe?
yeah,
yeah.
I like that one.
yeah.
Gotta bail, you whale.
Well,
People don't like that one because you think you're calling them fat.
yeah,
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
see that.
yeah. That's
So
probably not
you
ideal.
came up with all of these like on the spot.
Immediately. Yeah.
Your brain is working overtime, buddy.
But like in the weirdest areas, you know?
He's ready. He's like, I'm prepared for anything that anyone might ever ask me. Here
Yeah.
we go.
I'd like to see him on Family Feud because I feel like you'd give Steve Harvey like an actual stroke. Like, you know how when they like people
Yep.
say something, he's like,
Have a
wait,
what?
what? Yeah. And it's just like totally factor reset Steve Harvey on
A
live
whale?
television.
So petition to get Aaron on Family Feud.
Yeah, how do we? I assume there's a form we could fill out somewhere.
If we get enough people to fill it out, they'll pick him.
Yeah, we need to get him a team. I suppose
Who's going to be on
we'll
his
work on
team?
this. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like your family's all very smart, so that'd probably be good.
Well, I think I'm the type of person that you don't start a team with. I'm like the person you plug in at the end that you're like, any areas of discrepancy, we'll just kind of like have Aaron cover. You know what I mean? You don't start and build a team around me. You plug me into a team at the end, you know?
Okay, okay, huh?
I'm pretty sure at like if you no, never mind. No, yeah, probably. Probably. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, you know, like when you are playing like dodgeball at school and like you're the last person to be picked and you're just like, why am I last to be picked? I feel like that's
I
how I
was
would feel
always
if I was
keenly
picked
aware.
last for any discrepancies. I'd be like,
No, what I've learned though in life, like I was, slow, fat guy, so
Dude, I was sick of dodgeball.
nobody wanted me on their dodgeball team. So yeah. But now in life, I am the last call because I get shit done. You
Fair.
know, so it's like we'll call him. He'll get it done. You know,
Dude, I was sick at dodgeball. I used to tear it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you one of the purple cobras or the
I
average
don't know what you're talking
Joes?
about, but oh, for dodgeball movie. Okay, gotcha.
Whoa.
so I don't know what you're talking
Wow.
about.
Yeah. We almost
No, I
you
corrected.
almost witnessed
corrected
the
course.
end of our friendship.
Well, guess who's not getting invited to be on Family Feud with me now?
That's fine.
Huzzah.
I
Feel
want to
like I'm
watch
in
the episode anyways.
family
Don't
fight
you
that
hate it when mom and dad fight?
yeah,
Yeah.
that I don't wanna be in between, and somehow on
Right.
my screen, it's
Yeah.
Aaron, me, and then, like, no,
Yeah.
I'm in between both of you fighting, I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
Well,
But
he did say you're not
yeah.
joining his Family Feud team, I guess.
That, yeah. So,
Careful.
but hey, thank you so much for doing this. It's been absolutely pleasure hanging out, talking with you. We'll definitely want to invite you back if you'd be willing. But uh, yeah, as we always say, thanks for the consult,
Thanks for the consult, Lil P.
Lil P.
I love that. No, thank you guys. This is only my second podcast, so obviously things are still pretty new, but um
They don't get any better than this.
Yeah, yeah.
got high
It's
expectations now
yeah.
for my next one.
You've peaked. You've peaked.
No, I think it's an amazing opportunity for people, especially people in their careers like we work, to talk about it and share their story. So I appreciate you guys.
Hey, we're just having fun, So we're
Hey,
glad that
that's all that matters.
some amount of people are enjoying listening to us.
Much love, Lil P. Much love.
Much love, Lil P.
I'm literally gonna get a shirt that says Little P now. I'm gonna do it,
Well,
and
Do
then
it.
I'll send you guys a picture when it comes in.
perfect.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
We did it.
We'll have to use that.
You could get like a thanks for the consult endorsement on.
We'd endorse that.
There, okay, perfect. I
We'll
will let
sign
you
off
all
on
know
that
what I come up
endorsement.
with and see what you
Yeah.
guys think, okay?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you guys, and we'll see y'all next time on Thanks for the Consult. Bye.